What's good, folks? You already know what time it is. We are back with another dope episode of Weekly Views live from the Bricks. Today, got a special guest to the channel. First time on the channel, dope MC, creative artist. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people that don't know who you are.
What's going on APE TERLING?
Look at the boy going stupid now, ain't he? Yeah, this the shit to make you hit the microphone. I see you hating on me, I can't even hate. Wait, we getting paper over here. So much green, 100 acres over here. I feel like I'm Mr. Clean Mouth on Listerine. Catch me moonwalking to the scene in my Billy Jeans.
I'm growing entertainment in the building, PSG boys in the building, paper steak in it all the time.
I'd like to welcome you to the Bricks.
Appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
So for the people out there who are not familiar with you, never heard your music or anything ran across you, just tell them a little bit about APE TERLING, Where did it first begin for you?
Started in Frito gang. Well, back when I was in 2014, 2013, where we were like college students back then. But they gave me the insight to what it is to record, to make beats, to kind of just figure that out. My homie that was standing across the street, my real brother pretty much. After that, he showed me how to make beats and really showed me the process of recording and kind of the ins and outs. I didn't even know what an ad-lib was until I was a senior in high school, But he really showed me the ropes of how to record. We was in Studio One, if y'all know what that is back then. And we were just working in that system. And things kind of changed when we took off to college. So he went his way in California, and I went to go play D3 football at Howard Payne. Ain't nothing in Brownwood if you ever go out there. So after that, I dropped out of school and shit and took about a year off. And through that time, that's when I really started figuring out, as a young man, who you are and really trying to understand what I'm about and what I'm trying to do. So I got to work. And every day for about 2 years, I just started writing. And it wasn't probably until I started that maybe 2016. And in 2018, I finally got my first Akai MPC Mini. And my mom bought it for me for Christmas. And I really wanted to figure out how to make my own sound. So it took me about 2 years to make some decent sounding music that I really like. And I feel like I had a sound. So I dropped Money Don't Grow on Trees in 2020. And then long story short in 21 or 22. And then sooner than later, last year, September. So
let's go back to college, man. Dropped out of college. What was the reason of just, dropping out of school?
So for one, the environment didn't really help. That's in adolescent days, really getting to smoking weed a lot. But that's nothing new. But I wasn't the one, I was quote unquote the black sheep of the family for a second. But the reason for dropping out, I didn't really understand what my direction was, because coming out of high school, I know I really wanted to make music, just didn't really know how. But, my parents wanted to guide me in a way, and I didn't really have any information on what to do. And it was if you ain't gonna be doing nothing, you might as well stay in school till you figure it out. And it just didn't work out like that. So I tried to play. I came into safety. I was wearing 165, came out weighing 215. They moved the linebacker and stuff like that. But after that year, I finally was able to since I was on my own, I had nobody around me, I just things started clicking almost, just understanding who I am, who I'm really about, and what I'm trying to do.
Tell us about, you played football in school. I know every young kid's dream is they're going to go to college,
Man.
And they're going to go to the league. Was that something that was instilled in you as a young age, like the NFL dream, or you had different aspirations?
I wanted to be a firefighter, I think, when I was a little kid. But I remember I was watching, my dad showed me Ed Reed in Baltimore. He showed me Ray Lewis. And then since then, I was all right, I could see myself doing it. But I was playing quarterback as a little kid. But I think my whole time, I don't think I ever really knew what I was going to be doing. But I knew that I was supposed to make some kind of impact. And that book is still being written. And she'll be part of that now. So still being paved,
So you get out of college, and then you decide, all right, you're finna move forward with music. And, I know you mentioned that you were trying to find your own sound. How hard was it? Because there's a lot of artists still can't even, find their own sound. So just kind of tell us the struggles you dealt with even in that.
The hardest part was knowing that I have consumed so much music, and you have so many favorite artists coming up, like you said. Like, you know what I mean? You have different people that have some kind of inspiration that you're connected to by default when you're trying to make your own sound. So if I'm listening to whoever your favorite artist is, your top 5 people on your playlist, and you're playing that constantly, that sound just like by default you're gonna try to make, because that's quote unquote your type of music. So the hardest part was trying to find your own lane without, compromising or copying somebody else. And do you know who Rick Rubin is?
Yeah, Def Jam. Hey, give me, hold on, man. Def Jam, Rick Rubin. That's a legend right there. Hey, man, do your homework, man. Rock with right there.
Rick Rubin. This is not like a quote unquote, but in his book he kind of talked about, and a favorite quote of mine. He was like, the attempt to create something and fail means that you succeeded at creating something new. So one of my favorites, and it's in, like you said, it's in the music that you heard, was Kendrick. It's his approach. So I took whatever he had to like his delivery and like his emotions when rapping, and I took that and put it into my own lane of what I want to talk about musically. I studied Pharrell, Timbaland, Jake One. If you know who Jake One is, he produced like a lot of Rick Ross and Chance the Rapper's Acid Rain. He made that. But I wanted to make something that is truthful to me and something that I can also get my bars off, because that's why I started doing it, because I like similes, metaphors, and how people tell stories within the lines too.
What was the first like song or project from Kendrick that you heard that kind of just made you like, man, I mess with this dude heavy?
I heard my homeboy that I was talking to stay across the street named Kenny. Shout out Kenny, man. He do UFC now. He stay on this real quick. He broke his back when he got back in 2021. Boy broke his back, flew out the car, and I was with him while he was rehabbing. Man couldn't even walk. And he rehabbed a year later, started doing UFC, and that man back killing it. So like, shout out to him, man. He's a big inspiration for sure. But he showed me Cut You Off Overly Dedicated. And then after that, I went back and listened to C4, but Cut You Off was like the one off of Overly Dedicated that really gravitated me towards him. And I heard Compton State of Mind. It's like an unreleased mixtape that he dropped. That's not like on official platforms, but that one, like, you can tell like he really was like influenced by Wayne and Eminem. You can hear it in his flow. It's like he's still trying to figure it out. And like, that was the cool part. It was like when people make songs that are not, back then you had so many varieties of music that there was not one sound. It was so many other things to talk about, and he brought those to the forefront. And I think that's what really like did it for me.
How did you like? But what inspired you like to produce music though? Like just listening to Pharrell and all those guys as well.
Listening to type beats, I got sick of it. I mean, you listening to a type beat from an artist that you want to be like, which only takes away from the sound that you really could potentially have. So I thought of the long game. It was like, if I can make, now it can be an asset as well. So even if the music or my writing doesn't make it, my production can, and vice versa. And if they both dope, then I'm dope. That has to be like, it's a simple equation. So when I was listening to type beats and I was writing these songs, and I couldn't help but after I'm done recording, but it's like, man, this sounds like blah blah blah. And when I'm showing people the music, they saying the same thing. They saying like, hey, you sound like. I don't want to sound like anybody. But I'd love to hear, like you said, like what's your influence at a level. So that's kind of why I wanted to make my own beats. And those people that I named had a sound that registered with how my life feels.
How do you feel about, and like you said, you don't want to be typecast at no form of fashion. Today we have lost the art of originality in music. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of new artists come out, and they sound like they try to sound like 21. They try to sound like Quavo.
That's a fact.
They try to sound like Dirt, King Von. Like how do you feel about just witnessing that?
If there's no leadership or direction from the higher ups or the people who already laid the stepping stones, then we can't be I can't really be picky because it's just now starting to heat up with what's going on now currently with the people that we claim is, the top of the top, and they're going at it. But this is the most excitement that we've had in about, 6-7 years?
Yeah, good. That's a good segue too, because good transition into that. What do you think about, everything that's going on with Drake and Kendrick and J. Cole, and now Ricky Rose has stepped in the picture. You know what I'm saying? What's your opinions on the whole?
I ain't gonna say it's my favorite, but I think it's solid. I like that. This is biased, and I'll take that, but I like that, that Kendrick brings kind of the dog to the environment. And no matter if you're on, this side, that side, or this side, it's cool to see that undeniably Kendrick brings the best out of people.
How'd you feel about Rick Ross's diss towards Drake?
I feel like it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was cool.
It was cool. Because I'm a fan of Ross.
Me too.
I'm a fan of Ross, but I feel like him coming out dissing Drake doesn't do nothing to Drake because it's just kind of like that.
He's trolling along with Drake. How Drake doing Metro right now? He's just trolling. But
I like it. I don't like Drake and Ross going at it. Because they got so many good classic. There's some bangers. They got some bangers. Like I was going through the playlist the other day, looking at all that stuff. I'm like, man, they got some timeless music, man.
They do.
What did you think about 7 Minute Drill?
When I originally heard it, I was me and my partner Ira, we were in the studio, and it was like maybe midnight, but it was like we were about to head out. I take him to the crib, and I looked on Instagram and then say J. Cole dropped this project. I was like, oh shit, all right, we got some stuff to listen to on the way there. So we was playing in the car, and we finally, everybody knows like, okay, either if you're gonna respond, it's either gonna be on the first track or the last track. That's what I was thinking. So we got to the final track, and it was cool. Like I liked it. I like that he kept it about the music, but I don't like it was on a trap beat, and then he tried to. I'm not a fan of disses that are like songs. If you're gonna diss, it's like just go ahead and spit some wild shit, like and just go crazy. But he did it on a trap beat and try to make a song out of it, and he kind of went after a catalog that's already kind of spoken for, and critically acclaimed 2014 Forest Hill was like his one. Some people can debate Born Center. And I know a lot of people like For Your Eyes Only as well. But that's like
favorite.
It's subjective.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To what's really going on. But like and he kind of messed up because he talked about his first project, I guess in actuality, he's saying Good Kid, but Section 80 was his first one. So you talking about your 4 or whatever. And then he talks about Mr. Morale. What did you think about Mr. Morale?
Oh, that was cool. I mean, let me ask you, what do you feel like do you consider To Pimp a Butterfly a classic?
Yeah, absolutely.
You do? What do you feel like Kendrick's worst project is?
Worst one or less?
The one that you don't like the most,
I say Morale.
Wow.
I don't bump it as much as I do like Good Kid. I still go back and just listen to the sonics they were able to create in that.
I think people don't talk about Section 80 because that was still like his underground thing. So, when he did Good Kid, Mad City, that's when he was signed and everything.
Yeah,
First major release. But I love Section 80. I thought it was a good. Me personally, I didn't like To Pimp a Butterfly because I think if he would have came out with Good Kid, Mad City first, and then if he would have did Damn, and I think if he would have did To Pimp a Butterfly, I think people would have liked him more. But Good Kid, Mad City was like banging, like,
yeah.
And then we was partying, and then To Pimp a Butterfly came out like, damn, I'm trying to turn up. So that's the only.
I'll say this, one thing that's kind of weird that I be telling my homeboy, like, he always talks about what's the best Kendrick project, and I always have to remind him, and what I think everybody should think about is the reason why Kendrick I think is pretty cool is that every project you're growing with him. So every album he drops is a snapshot in history, literally. Because during that time in 2015-ish time frame, right, you're dealing with police brutality is at a high. Black folks are getting wiped off the map. It looks like at least the media pushing it. And then he goes and pursues, and Donald Trump is about to get in office, right? Going through that. And he talks about all those things on Pimp a Butterfly. It's a snapshot. You won't get that again. Along with changing the sonically and the beats of production and what he was able to pull off and bringing in the West Coast and merging those two fields to make people feel like they were in that seat too, listening to it. And you got a freaking anthem out of it and All Right, which is like a black people classic. like, and be honest with you. And you go to damn, right? These are all things, like, these are things that he's dealing with and understanding, right, where he stands. Actually, I don't want to fanboy over this shit.
Yeah, no, it's cool. No, I get it. No, I
I
definitely get it. Yeah, and I did love the conversation with him and Pac at the end. I thought that was like, I thought that was just, you know, genius overall. Man, and I'm gonna be all over the place. We're gonna go back and talk about music. I want to transition, and I want to ask you this because, you know, we see Texas just recently banned Pornhub from the, you know, and I seen you on your Jen podcast interview, and you talk, you know, the wrestle and stuff like that. And, you know, for people who are struggling with that, you know, what are some things that help them trying to get away from that addiction?
Jesus Christ. Only God, bro. And, you know, people still battle that today. And for the people who are still dealing with it, I find I make it normal to talk about an abnormal thing. Like, you know, because ain't nobody checking up on you but you. You know, ain't nobody really caring about you like you will. But, you know, you brought this up because you could relate on what we talked about on that space. And that right there was the point of this now, right? We able to have that conversation, and now we're talking about it on a new platform with new people. And because it's such a real thing, especially amongst men, right? And we don't really talk about it amongst women, but it's because the man is made for the head, not the tail. And I'm not saying that women are either, but if the man is the head of the household, she does what you do. And if we out here doing this, then that means we promoting it, which lets our women run wild, right? So I feel like pornography, the way to stop it is to talk about it and not be sitting here bottling up and not having that real one-on-one, because this conversation can not only, you know, advocate and help other people, but it can also just help us overcome this shit. Because I don't know how you feel afterwards, but it doesn't help nothing.
Yeah, nah, and it's something, and this is the first time I'm open about it, so I'll just speak about it.
Cool.
But it's something that we all got our addictions. Some people got alcohol, some people have, you know, it might be marijuana. It's something that I wrestle with to this day. And after I watch it, I do feel like a filthy animal. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So it's something. So when I seen your interview, and I hit Jen after, and I was like, man, like, I appreciate y'all having that conversation, because it's something that I can relate to. Because sometimes it is dangerous, like, you know, you know, and it's something I still wrestle with to this day, and stuff like that. And I see people who are mad about the ban of Pornhub and stuff like that, because pornography is so accessible today. Like, back in the day, especially my age group, like, our people in the house had VHS tapes and stuff like that.
Magazines.
And it was DVDs. And then you had to get that VHS tape. If you watch, you had to rewind it back to that part, and don't say, "Hey, you watching it?" You watching this thing? But it's true fact, true story. But now it's so accessible to, you know, even the phones and, you know, stuff like that, and, you know, Twitter, and then, you know, we got kids. I got kids. You know, the internet. You know what I'm saying? They can find anything. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely, even Instagram, just to, you know, explore them, and with the creation of OnlyFans, it's like it's now. It's in the open, like, it's definitely promoted. So I was like, man, I appreciate you kind of having the courage, because a lot of people don't even have the balls to even admit that, because some people will probably, that ain't nothing. But for some people it is, you know, like I said, it is a wrestle. It is definitely
2024, like Cat Williams said on Shannon's joint, bro, this is like 2024 is the year of exposure, man. And it's kind of just exposing all the crap that we just be stepping over on a day-to-day basis. We no longer can kind of live for the things that we continue to say are a problem and don't talk about it. That's going to become the new norm moving forward, especially this year. Like, you seeing all this stuff. We talking about Diddy. Made a joke out of it saying no Diddy now, but really that's a man, bro. And we don't know what happened to him. We don't know, you know, kind of things he was going through to even make him be doing that. That's the other side of it, right? But I ain't gonna lie, bro, you over here doing some crazy stuff. But in general, it's just time to kind of be real about what's going on. Like, we only getting older, and life only getting more dark, man. Like, it's weird. But I don't know, man. It's time to move forward.
So, and transitioning and shit, good segue too. You good at segues, by the way. Good job. You know, and we don't have to dive into the whole Diddy thing, but how do you feel about everybody kind of making a mockery of the situation? You know what I'm saying? You know, just laughing at it, kind of, you know, making jokes about it and everything. How do you feel seeing that?
I'm guilty as charged because I made my fair share, right? But like I said, like my spiritual side tells me like that's a brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's still a black man. And when I was a kid, I wasn't thinking about this. I was bumping his music like everybody else, you know what I'm saying? But now that the phone's out and the truth kind of comes forth, you kind of get to choose like what you're about, like, you know what I'm saying, and what's the root of like what we really believe in. So I don't think nothing of it past what, you know, if it's not really affecting me, I kind of, you know, but on an outer perspective, on a worldly perspective, I think that it's tough, man, that nobody could catch him or save him, you know, when they saw it happening, you know, or nobody could have that conversation to make him shift his mind to stop doing what he was doing. And of course, I ain't gonna lie, nobody really knows what's coming out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody knows what happened. Like, you know what I mean? This could be a story that's just being told to knock down whatever, like, you know, because I don't know if you, just a quick thing, like Michael Jackson, before they were trying to get him, he was about to buy out Sony, right? And I'm like, okay, that's not a coincidence. Like, you know, Nipsey with the Dr. Sebi documentary. You have so many examples of things. Bill Cosby, but was it a CBS or ABC? He's buying ABC. Like, things happen in a weird way to where it's like, you know, it's kind of, you don't know what to believe at this point, you know. So I don't really think much until I hear some truth, because last time I checked, Young Thug is still doing a trial for something that we don't even know freaking happened, nor do they know. So
yeah, definitely. So you're kind of one of those that kind of believe all the conspiracy theories and stuff like that when something happens.
I entertain them only for purposes of expanding my thinking, because I mean that's how you kind of grow and figure out like, your perspectives and shit. But yeah, I dabble with them. I ain't gonna lie, I like them. I enjoy them. You do?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been like that since 2010 probably.
Aliens?
Not so much, but you know, just, you know, the higher up stuff. Me, you know, what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for
We
sure.
ain't gonna go into detail in it, but
Yeah.
you know, what I'm talking about like
Understood,
we did definitely. I want to transition to another thing. We're gonna go back to music.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if you had kept up, but you know, Universal had laid off a lot of employees for
TikTok.
for the you know, for their label and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the future of record labels in the next, you know, 10 years? You think they're going to go extinct?
I think they have the potential to, but I think they're gonna figure out a way to maybe make that a little hard. I think since everything's kind of digitized, you can kind of make the story what you want. But I've seen a lot of people, a lot of artists now, and similar to what me and Omar doing. Shout out to Omar. Building your own thing gives you the control to completely operate your business and get into avenues that you wouldn't be able to necessarily do in a label maybe. I can't speak from that point because I never dealt with one, and I don't want to give you false statements.
Right.
I can see that happening, but 10 years is kind of fast, because, I mean, these record labels still own a lot of the music that we know and love today.
Yeah.
So I think the first process would be how to get it out their hands.
Yeah.
And then we have to move from there. Like, and I think things might have to go back tangible. It'd be hard to do, but back tangible in some kind of aspect would probably be the best.
Me personally, like, I know artists come up and they're like, I want to sign to this label, I want to sign to a label. But I think me personally, from the outside looking in, I think you shouldn't sign to a label unless you have some type of leverage.
Yeah.
And I think the most of the cases, we'll see a lot of artists, they'll come up, these labels sign them for tax write-offs, and then they're just sitting there on the show, but it's like you don't really have nothing they could profit off of.
That's a fact.
So you're just going to be, until because they're looking for the next Kendrick, or they're looking for the next Drake, or whoever, it might be the next Beyonce. They're looking for that. And then if you're not bringing nothing to the table, yeah, they signed you for the 50,000 up, but you're just going to be sitting there. So that's my opinion on artists. Like, I think unless you have a high demand, that's when you should sign. But, you know, some people do it for the bag. You know what I'm saying? Get your money by all means. Get your money by all means.
And honestly, actually, nah, I can say that. Go ahead.
And we're going to talk about, you know, you got your manager. Shout out to Omar. Shout out to him. I see a lot of artists who have managers, which those managers don't do shit for them at all. Like, this is not a knock on them, but every artist comes up with, I need a manager.
Right.
You really want an investor.
Right.
So what is kind of some of the duties that Omar does for you?
And I'm going to correct that. It's not even that. He's my partner, man.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not even an investor. We both, a partner is somebody that, you know, one has to believe in you. And when I was doing, he met me at a time where I was just getting kind of back in the rhythm too. And he believed in me. We've been around each other this whole time. You know what I'm saying? He believes in me. When we sit down, we have a plan, we move forward. We both put up the money to make stuff happen. And not only that, we have vision and ambition. And with those two things and the energy to do it, you can make something magical happen. And with all those things, you know, he reaches out, he double checks.
Yep.
Handles
Shout
the
out to him.
business.
Me and him been in contact for months about this interview. He's still checking. I was like, hey, man, chick bid me this month. Hey, I'm still double. And I appreciate that. The very professional. He's not like, oh, dang, can y'all give me? No, it's like, okay, I'm going to reach back. Very professional. So shout out to him on that. I noticed that about him.
What time was the interview today?
That's like 7.
And what time we pull up?
Not too bad, not too
Yeah,
far.
you know
You know what I'm
what I'm
saying? Y'all said, and he was in the communication too. I appreciate seeing that y'all move like that.
The man is about his business, and so am I. And when you have somebody like that and is family oriented, you can't do nothing but trust him and move forward with him. You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like artists coming up, do they need a manager right away?
I feel like honestly, no. Are we talking just San Antonio or?
No, just in general.
So I've only been in Texas, like in San Antonio, so I can't really elaborate too much because the scenes are different.
Yeah.
But if you're just doing San Antonio, no, not at all. You just need to get your butt out to these shows, follow the correct people to go do your open mics and stuff, get in the circulation, start linking with artists, and mainly focus on quality over quantity. Because I ain't gonna lie, I see people putting out music, and whether it's good or not, you're giving people the option to go stream it. But a lot of the times, people wrestle with that Denzel effect of like, he doesn't do primetime TV. He makes movies, and when he drops movies, people put their butts in seats to go see it, right? So there's
one of those.
You know what I'm saying? But there's a fine balance. Now imagine if Denzel started doing TV, I wouldn't appreciate him as much. So when artists take their time and bring a quality product to the table, it allows people to not only take you for granted, but to actually tune in when you have something to say. So it works for some people, and you can take the Larry June path too. But like everything he makes it's the same package, which is a good package, and you're gonna get at least 5 to 6 bangers out of him, right? And it's something you can put on with a female and chill, and he's gonna present that every time, right? And he has his system, and it works, and it's beautiful. Now, if you can't figure out that system, that's what we all trying to figure out, right? It's how to package it like that. But no, you don't need no manager to kind of get yourself off the ground. But first, you got to make sure that package is correct.
How do you feel about artists? I don't go to a lot of shows, right? You know what I'm saying? Me, I don't really pop out. But I see artists doing shows every week, sometimes the same crowd. I don't see you on too many flyers. I know you do shows here and there. Do you think it's a bad thing if you're kind of doing the same shows over and over?
Do I think it's a bad thing? I don't think so. Because even if I say from 2021 to the end of 2023, I was doing that before I got with Omar. We were just kind of popping out, going to open mics, and really just getting stage presence down. That's not a bad thing when you have a goal of doing something. And my goal was to not only shake hands and kiss babies, but it's also to like try to figure out how my stage presence is, because I always recognize, even with the greats, like they know how to move people. And it's not so much of like commands, like put your hands up, da, da, da. It's more like how people feel when they see you and they listen to you. And I couldn't figure that out until like around, long story short, it's like 2022, of like how to really do that. And it's really just about being authentic. And that's the main point. Like, it's just to figure out how to be your best self and honest to yourself, for me. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing doing shows. I wouldn't be sitting here doing it all day.
Yeah, and the reason I say that, I see there's some artists, they've been doing the same thing for years. It's like the same crowd, and they don't benefit from it at all. And it's kind of, and I always, there's that phrase, you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. You know what I'm saying? So
it's insanity, right?
Yeah. So that's why I had accent. Because I don't think, it's a good thing. Yeah, of course you perform, but I think I believe you want to make it a moment when you pop out. Like, hey, Ape Sterling
happening.
Ape Sterling ain't perform. He has a show, and I feel like certain artists don't bring that excitement. It's like, oh, you know what? He performed last Friday. I know he's gonna be there Thursday. I'm gonna catch him.
It takes your importance out of it. And honestly, okay, it's like kind of similar to like when people are posting like every day, like the weight loss journey, right? Nobody really cares about your day to day of you working out. We just want to see you with the weight off, homie. You know what I'm saying? Like respectfully, just post your picture how you started and where you finished. You know, because people just care about the results most of the time, and the impact of you posting it every day is really for yourself, not so much for like, which is fine. I'm not knocking nobody for that, which is fine, but people just want to see what you're going to do and see if you're going to execute the potential that they may or may not see in you. And like once that's kind of going, it's hard to build that shit back up. It's kind of the trust thing too.
No, we was talking about off camera. We was talking about top fives. You know, yeah. Who's on your top five rappers of all time?
That switches every day, if I'm being honest, and it switches for type of thing we're talking about. This is not in no particular order either. But Dot, Busta Rhymes, I fuck with Earl Sweatshirt tough. And this is not like I said, it's not like all time, but like just people that I'm influenced by. So I said K-Dot. I said who? Earl Sweatshirt and who? Busta Rhymes. I throw Method Man in there. Method and Red take the same spot for me. And maybe this is a unpopular opinion of Missy Elliott.
You got a kind of a crazy top five. I've never heard.
Yeah.
You don't hear Meth and Red. Not even, but I don't hear too many. Not at least in Texas, anybody has Busta in their top.
Now, like I said, influence though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Influence. I don't want to say like all the time because, like I said, that just changes. I have, people are lyricists, and you have people with good flow, and you have people who, just do crazy features. It all changes. Ludacris is on that too. Yeah, but like all those people have their own sound, like their own way of doing things, and like especially like Method Man was able to. How Wu-Tang was able to even bring that kind of thing to life and people mess with it is like crazy. Yeah. But yeah. That's about it.
Top five albums, in general, even hip hop albums of all time for you, if you can think of those.
I don't want to do this one. I'm gonna leave out too many.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave out too many.
So, and we were talking about this. We go back to this. I want to talk about this because we were talking about Take Care, and nothing was the same.
Right.
Some people say Nothing was the same as the Better Project. Some people say
sure.
Take Care was the project. I want to for you personally, which one are you choosing?
I think Take Care. I think so. Because it has like so many vibes on there. Now, if somebody, people say at The Weeknd pretty much wrote that whole thing. And I don't know that. I ain't never sat down with
That's
Drake.
a conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
If that's the case, then so be it. But it still got good music on it. Nothing Was the Same was just crazy for the time. Like, it's because he really ripped that whole thing. He ripped the whole thing. Like, there was no skips.
Personally, I feel like for me, it's subjective, but I'm gonna say Take Care is like his best project. I think he hasn't made a better project than Nothing Was the Same was good, but I feel like Take Care was a moment. Like when it came, I rushed to the mall to go pick that CD up.
Yeah.
Just like it was a moment. I thought If You're Reading This Is Too Late. That one was, even though that was supposed to be a mixtape, but that one was.
If You're Reading This was the one I was saying. That's the one he ripped that whole thing. Now, Nothing Was the Same was like, I don't know, like
it was good.
Production.
Yeah.
Production is crazy. Yeah.
If you could choose any artist and any producer to get in the studio with and make an album, who are you choosing?
Like, on right now? Like, ever? Mm-hmm. Shit. Pharrell gonna be in that motherfucker. You said I gotta have two producers?
One producer and one artist.
Shit, man. It's tough. Yeah, I'll do Pharrell for sure. God, I want somebody that like, I'll just say K-Dot just because
K-Dot.
It's expected, right? I'll just say it.
You think you would be able to go toe-to-toe with K-Dot on the track? Yeah.
I think I give him a run for his money. Now that's years down the line, maybe. But yeah, I think so. But I think working with K-Dot, it's all, especially like working with me, I want to get the overall best song possible. Like, and I think that comes out from just, two swords sharpening each other, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think it'll come out crazy.
Are you the type that like to be in the room with the artist vibing, or are you kind of like, you like to do the tracks, the verses or whatever?
I prefer to be more hands-on and be around it because, I don't know, it's the energy is just better. You kind of see what people on. sending the track or sending stuff back to like around or sending stuff to each other is fine. It just depends on circumstance. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not hard to do that. And it's easier to kind of, I don't know, get in your bag when you want. Like, you know, kind of bring something completely different to the table. But I'd rather be in the studio for sure.
You know, lately there's been a lot of artists who kind of been, you know, going against the streaming and trying to find other avenues to, you know, get paid off for their music. Because obviously, you know, Spotify, those they don't pay.
No, not really.
Have you took some approaches or any strategies to figure out how you can kind of generate some money off of, you know, your own music yourself?
Nah, I'm just playing, of course. That's kind of in the works, man. Like I said, just developing that package. Because you have to, convert eyes to travel over to what you got to sell. Like, you know what I'm saying? The hard part, I guess, as a new artist is capitalizing on things, like just on anything that you have going and making sure that you always have something in people's face. It doesn't always have to be music. It's more just presence around having stuff in people's hands, you know what I'm saying, that people can access.
Now, for anybody who doesn't know you and you would recommend any song from yours or project, you know, like, hey, you need to listen to this. Like, if you really want to know me, listen to this. Which project or, you know, song you choosing for them?
Long story short.
Long story short?
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, tell us a little bit kind of about that.
Long story short was my story from 2015 to now, then at that time. Every song goes from adolescence to a realization that it's just like, this is all some finding that I found like on the edge of the cliff somewhere, like in your thoughts, in your brain, when you're just thinking about where you're trying to go and what you are. And you don't ever really know what you're telling yourself. So like, I'm basically getting to, it's like a diary damn near, if I say so, of just timestamps of where I was and what I was thinking at the time. And that kind of gives you a picture of where I'm at right now. It's just eternal growth. So long story short is exactly what the title means. It's a long story short to get to know me of what I'm up to.
And I forgot to ask you, where does the name APE TERLING come from?
Before I used to be called Tolerance. That was back in like 2013-ish time frame. And we were called Anarchios, and me and my homeboy. And then you kind of, you know, like, what the hell is Tolerance? That shit kind of weak. So I wanted to use my name. It was just Sterling. And then we made Abstract People Ego.
Oh, okay. That's a dope cut off. I was curious what the APE stand for.
Abstract People Ego. And it's just a bunch of misfits. I was telling Omar one of these shows, we was out. He had his homies, I had mine, and we just looked like freaking Suicide Squad. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got somebody that we don't look like a group of people that look like we would get along or be around each other, but it works. It's weird. Like, you know, but it's just a bunch of abstract folks with a common goal.
Since I know you're big on fashion, you know what I'm saying? You know, I could tell you're in the whole fashion game. I seen a status on Facebook the other day, you know, some artists feel like fashion isn't important. Some feel like it does play a part. Do you feel like how an artist dresses matters in general?
I feel like you should wear whatever you should wear to perform. If that makes you, if putting on clothes makes you feel good, then do it. But I also rock with Action Bronson with the Nike little dry fit shirts with some shorts and some slides, because that's Omar tell you in a heartbeat. I pull up on you like that on 90% of the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Going out, I mean, whatever makes you feel like you the man or the woman, like, you know, wear that.
Do you think that hurts some artists though? Because you might have some artists who are dope, they might have the talent, but from a consumer standpoint, like, let's just say for me, for example, I'm a label, I want to sign this. Yeah. He has the good music, but it's like, I can't market him because he's not marketed. He doesn't have an image. So do you think that kind of hurts some artists in a sense?
Depends on what you sell. I don't know you can't be like, if you said Larry June talking lavish as fuck, and he's like looking at you, homie. He's just like, I don't know. Like, you know, I feel like it can hurt if you don't have an aesthetic with it.
Right.
Like, you know, if there's not a reason for you doing it. Like, you know, because Kodak Black can still be on his side of town, you know what I'm saying, wearing whatever the fuck he want, but that shit sell because his products sound like it too.
And I always say that because I was like, fashion has always been instilled in hip hop from the early days of Run DMC. Yeah, even though fashion has changed, you know, NWA had their own fashion. You know what I'm saying? You know, Biggie, you know, he had his own fashion with Versace. And
That's a fact.
everybody kind of had their own type of fashion, but they all look fly in a sense.
Yeah.
But I see like, and there's a lot of artists too. I look at even artists coming up that's like, man, they're good. That's like, they're not marketable. They got to find a way to, you know.
That's a fact. I feel like if people don't have some kind of like, I don't know, some kind of aesthetic that matches with what they have or what their sound is imitating, I feel like it could take away from the artistry at a level, because then it's like, what are we really looking at here? Like, you know, it doesn't have a complete thing to it, you know.
Now, what do you got going on right now? What do you got coming up, you know, for people that can expect from you coming soon?
Working on a collab project with just Homegrown itself. We have some things in the works, just like making a new, kind of like a 2002 kind of project, like just sitting, like the music was just different. It was more boom bap, but it's like neo boom bap with some bounce to it, but it has melodies to it, and it's more just rapping, like, you know, just rapping. So that's kind of in the works. That's been like the mentally gearing up for it, like just of what I want to put on the paper, of where I am now, kind of realizing that. Like, I don't know about you, like do you have to kind of reflect on where you're at sometimes and like kind of picture exactly what you're going through or what you're feeling if you're struggling?
Yeah.
What's that for you?
There might be sometimes I'm struggling financially. It could be, it just depends. It could be I'm exhausted from the music scene. Right. You know what I'm saying? It could be, depends on what I'm going through at the moment.
What do you do to I don't know, I don't want to say like to cope, but like, what do you do to kind of let loose or like get to the root of what you're feeling?
Me personally, I'll get in the car. And I know gas is expensive, but man, for me, what helps me, I get in the car. I turn on my Spotify, crank up my R&B. Fun fact, I listen to probably 90% R&B more than hip hop.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
But just for me, I go for a drive and just kind of, you know, and it kind of just takes my mind. Or me being here, you know, I come here and whatever I got going at home, I tune that out. I come here, you know what I'm saying, and just, you know, get to work.
Okay. So you take your mind off things type shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree.
And then when I go back, you know what, I got to deal with it how I deal with it. But, you know, I have my different ways of kind of, you know.
Getting through it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, like for now, like that's really it, and really developing a plan, man. Just making sure we have our plan together, because we wanna do some big things like anybody else. But I know that the path that we have going is not the most popular, and it takes time to really develop a plan for that.
I gotta ask you one more question before we get out here. Controversial question.
Okay.
How do you feel about lists in San Antonio? I know it's like top 10 lists, top 15 lists, like.
Oh yeah, I be hearing about that sometimes. Shit, to each his own, man. Like, I'm not really competing with people around here, brother. Like,
good answer.
But I'm making stuff, man. I'm trying to picture myself like, can this hold up against these projects that are known globally, not just San Antonio? So you can have your list respectfully. I appreciate it if I'm on them or not. Like, but that's not the reason why we do this. Like, this is not the reason why I do this personally. Like, I'm in my own lane of what I have going on and what I'm trying to do and I'm trying to achieve. If some of the things that go on come with it, then we'll take it. If not, we'll take it. We're cool with whatever, man. It's not that. But I do want to shout out some of the artists that are around here. Calamari, 98 Priest, Pop, Camp, Pop 2 Wavy, Camp, Slim Doja, Ira Z, Set the Tone, Bam's Worth.
Shout out to Bam, that's my guy. Bam been cooking.
Yeah. Bam, I was just talking to him, man. He's a cool dude, bro.
He's working, that dude working.
Shit, he really do, man. He be getting
Bam, Big X, and Mexican OT. Only big dudes I know take their shirt off, making it look
And let it cool, bro.
They make it look
Don't forget Ross when he was big too. Man.
Yeah,
He make
yeah.
it look cool.
Shout out to Bam.
Yeah, Bands is cool people, man. Not 7098, another one of those folks.
One of my favorite artists, 798.
Bro, he's dope. He's so
yeah.
dope. I want to work with him for a while, man. It's gonna happen. And I don't want to I can't. Those are the names that are just off the top of me. Actually, I'm gonna name. Shout out to the people that are kind of leading the forefront. That's what I say. Is Mike Dines and Southside Hoodlum, bro. Like they're representing for San Antonio as far as I see. Like, you know, for the people who are just out here, man, and just kind of pushing the envelope. Because before I remember there was only a few people. Like you had Blake, you know what I'm telling you, son. Like, and they're the next ones that are kind of like, you know, still like pushing the envelope for San Antonio to be known. Like, you know, and I feel like that's the biggest fight. Like, are people trying to just let people know we got talent. You know what I'm saying? We got talent here.
Definitely. Hey, man, well, look, I appreciate you coming on
Appreciate
the
you,
platform.
man.
Good
Thank
meeting
you.
you, man. Good
Likewise.
conversation. You know what I'm
Likewise,
saying?
bro.
Good person. Shout out to Omar. You know what I'm saying? Definitely
Yes, indeed.
all the strong communication. You know what I'm saying? Very professional.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, when I told him, hey, check back with me around this time. Hey, man, I'm checking back in just to make sure it's a good shout out to y'all, how y'all move and everything. You know what I'm saying? Good. And, you know what I'm saying? You know, one day we're going to get you back on here. You know what I'm saying?
Please do.
Talk some music and stuff. So, you know.
Hey, shout out to the homie behind the camera, too.
Shout out to my guy, Skrills, man. Fun fact, I don't really make this stuff look pretty. I just show up to work and clock in. Skrills, all the good stuff you see, all that's Skrills. That's we call him the sensei. That's our the Dr. Dre that we like to call him. You know what I'm saying? to this thing. But man, hey, well look, this is your man Jay Ross with APE TERLING, another dope episode of Weekly Views live from the Bricks. Make sure y'all check this out when it drops. Yeah.
Yep.